Google I/O 2024 जैसे कि एक full on AI तमाशा रहा, showcasing Google's dominance in the AI world.
You are watching The World 24/7 on the NDTV network. I'm Parmeshwar Baba. Let's begin with a quick look at the headlines we are tracking at the moment. In the wake of a human trafficking racket busted in Cambodia, the Andhra Pradesh police has said around 300 Indians revolted against their handlers in Cambodia, leading to most of them being arrested in the foreign country. The MEA, meanwhile, tells job seekers to be cautious. 4 suspected ISIS terrorists have been arrested from the Ahmedabad airport days after the airport received a bomb threat. The terrorists are believed to be citizens of Sri Lankan. The European Council has approved the Artificial Intelligence Act, saying this law is the first of its kind and may set a global standard for the regulation of artificial intelligence. French President Emmanuel Macron is making a surprise trip to New Caledonia, the French Pacific territory that has been gripped by days of deadly unrest and where indigenous people have long sought independence. A Singapore Airlines flight hit severe turbulence over the Indian Ocean and descended 1,800 meters in a span of about 3 minutes, leaving a British man dead and more than 24 other passengers injured. That flight was then diverted to Bangkok. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar will be in Iran to attend the official ceremony to pay condolences on the demise of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, Foreign Minister Dr. Hossein Amir Abdullahian, and other Iranian officials who died in a helicopter crash. Now open in New York's Soho neighborhood, the Banksy Museum hosts the world's largest collection of Banksy's life-size murals and artwork. Well, our big focus today, Cambodia. In the wake of a human trafficking racket busted there recently, the Andhra Pradesh police has said around 300 Indians revolted against their handlers, leading to most of them being arrested there. As many as 150 young people from Visakhapatnam and its vicinity have actually been stuck in Cambodia for a year already, where they are being coerced to carry out cybercrime and Ponzi scams by Chinese handlers. This is what the police is saying. As per several reports, once in Cambodia, young workers would be held captive, tortured, and compelled by Chinese handlers to execute scams such as task game fraud and stock market fraud as well. The Visakhapatnam Police Commissioner A. Ravi Shankar has noted that these trafficked Indians caused large-scale riots in Jinbei and compound in Cambodia, which is allegedly a hub for cybercrime. My colleague Mohammed Ghazali has been tracking the latest developments for us. He joins us live from outside the Cambodia embassy at the moment. Ghazali, the unfortunate saga of job seekers and unauthorized agents continues, much to our dismay. But as per the latest update, 60 Indian nationals are going to be heading back home.
Yeah, today the Indian Embassy in Cambodia has informed and has shared details with their Cambodian counterparts there that these 60 Indian nationals who had revolted there because they were coerced into carrying out online scams and phishing scams, or what you call the spam callers here, who trick people and then dupe people, they will be rescued from there and will be sent back to India, and the Indian embassy there will be coordinating with them to issue travel documents as well. Now, this is not something which is new, but we have seen in the last couple of months there have been multiple such cases where Indian nationals were tricked into Southeast Asian countries for jobs, and then they were coerced by their handlers to carry out such a scam. In this particular case, this entire issue came to light when Visakhapatnam police received a complaint from a complainant saying sharing details about an online scam. And after the probe, there was one Indian national who was arrested in Hyderabad who had tricked people to Cambodia, and there the Chinese handlers coerced these people, the Indian nationals who were sent from Andhra to Cambodia for jobs, to carry out such phishing scams. And now, despite raising these issues multiple times, because in April as well the Ministry of External Affairs had issued an advisory asking the job seekers to be aware of those agents who trick them into the Southeast Asian countries, and also not to get into any other sort of job rather than what is mentioned on their job letters. So this is what it has come to light now, that 60 Indians will be sent back to India after having revolted there because they were coerced to carry out these phishing scams from Cambodian soil.
The United Nations, by the way, had said last year that more than 1 lakh people had actually been trafficked into online scam centers as far as Cambodia is concerned. But as always, Ghazali, thanks so much for joining us with that live update. Labour and cyber security experts, meanwhile, have repeatedly warned that online job scams targeting desperate job seekers have been on the rise in India. But joining us for further clarity, immigration expert Rohit Sharma on the broadcast. Mr. Sharma, thousands of people, many with tech skills, have been lured by social media advertisements promising well-paid jobs, not just in Cambodia, but in countries like Laos and Myanmar as well, only to find themselves forced to defraud strangers worldwide via the internet. Have you seen a sort of pattern since the pandemic?
Yeah, in fact, once again, thank you very much, Parmeshwan, for calling me on the show. Unfortunate news, but this is something, which is happening for the years and the decades now. I'm taking a bit of a liberty in pointing out here that it is just not, yes, Cambodia is beginning to become a center for these online frauds or so, but and it's not just post-pandemic or so. It is like it's the entire nexus is there. We are talking about, young kids. They are being lured up into these jobs, and remember, they are not going to a US or a UK. We are talking about Cambodia. They are being lured up to these kind of places where even they are being asked to pay salary. They are being given a salary structures of $500, $600, $700, giving certain amenities which are in fact I can bet you are even much below than what they are living here in India. So yes, there is a rise of such opportunities. One must look into that, why these people are so desperate that they want to go outside to such
Indeed.
places. And we are talking about them going on, jobs which are related to online, which are related to cyber. So they are not that kind of a dumb professionals. They must have some mind, some brain to actually go there and work onto these kind of jobs. Now the system itself is completely has gone for a berserk here. Why in the first place, this is not checked here in India, that the consultants who are representing these jobs are, whether they are having in the first place the Ministry of Manpower license, whether they are having, Ministry of External Affairs, their regulations requirements are fulfilled.
Right.
I can bet you 90% of them are not having. We are talking about Andhra, sitting here in Delhi, I can tell you 90% are not even having that. Right.
Yeah.
And then when these consultants are actually luring these people, how come a guy can land in Myanmar and land in Cambodia on a tourist visa? Really, he's landing in Cambodia on a tourist visa. After landing,
In fact, the
tourist
Ministry
visa
of
is
External
converted
Affairs
into...
has said that one must practice caution, especially when applying for jobs abroad. But Mr. Sharma, some labour experts also blame trafficking scams on India's tough job market. But many believe that better employment opportunities at home are still unlikely to be enough to stop them from migrating abroad for opportunities. Have you witnessed this trend?
I agree with them. Like how much you talk about, India rising or India shining in the metros, it is all about. You go to the interiors of India, we are talking about Andhra. There are so many such interiors of India where people are that is what I said. People are living up to the standards which must be poorest than what they are getting there in Cambodia. They are getting better standards there in Cambodia to live in.
Right.
So they actually therefore try to move on. It's all by the end of the day, it's about earning their bread and butter, which they find they're not getting here in.
Also, Ms. Sharma, what are some of the most common scams used by unauthorized agents? And how exactly can one safeguard themselves from falling prey to such scams?
See, as regard the scam is concerned, it's pretty simple. Like that, here is an opportunity, like which is coming from an employer, and they talk about making it a guarantee of a job. That's first thing, that you pay X amount and you get the job. This itself
Right.
is a scam, because you are getting a job just by paying, not on the basis of your credentials, and B, without even the interviews at times, or they are just a mass introductions or so. They are being offered the job, and the person find, oh, I'm getting into this particular destination, and then there have been very common statement that your living expenses and everything is being taken care of. Whatever you are earning is your saving. So good luck, and you simply apply, and we are going to take care of your all the needs. Very simple, for consultants to actually to go through that. And mind you, when they are actually offering them these salaries, or the 1 year or a 2 year contract, they are eating away their 3 years or 6 months of salaries here in India itself as part of their fees or so. I
Right.
am very, very strong, critic of this aspect, and I'm sorry to say here the Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Manpower actually also failed, that they are also not taking a crack or taking a whip on all these consultants who are practicing this job without their umbrella, without the license that they are required to
Indeed,
procure,
the whip
without
does
their
need to be
license.
cracked on these unauthorized agents. But there's also no denying that this trend does highlight a tough labor market in India, where unemployment and a lack of skilled permanent jobs has also been a leading concern in the ongoing general election.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Rohit Sharma, for joining us with that quick comment.
Thank you very much.
The other big story we're tracking: European Union member states gave the final agreement to the world's first major law for regulating artificial intelligence as institutions around the world race to introduce curbs for the technology. The EU Council said it had approved the AI Act, a groundbreaking piece of regulatory law that sets comprehensive rules surrounding artificial intelligence technology. Now, this AI Act applies a risk-based approach to artificial intelligence, meaning that different applications of the technology are actually treated differently depending on the perceived threats they pose to society. The EU Commission will have the power to fine companies that breach the AI Act as much as 35 million euros, or 7% of their annual global revenues, whichever is higher. Well, these new rules will have major implications for any person or entity developing, creating, using, or reselling AI as far as the EU is concerned. For further clarity on the matter, we're joined by AI cyber law expert Dr. Pavan Dugal on the broadcast. Thank you so much, Dr. Dugal, for joining us. Now, this law imposes tough restrictions on generative AI systems, but it's going to take some time before these requirements actually kick in, because we're reading that some provisions will only be applicable after 2 years or even longer.
Surely, this is a staged approach that's been adopted by the European Union. So the earliest elements which will come into operation will be 2025, and it could even be 2026. But then that's light years away for the very simple reason that generative AI is today seeing a massive quantum jump in technology and advancement with each passing week. And now from 13th of May 2024, when OpenAI has launched GPT-4o, which is the newest and the most advanced AI model, clearly the laws will have to have a relook, primarily because you have made laws at one particular point of time without keeping in mind that technology is not waiting for law, and technology is now consistently coming up. I see the entire new technology of GPT-4o as a precursor to a kind of a super intelligence that's going to be developed in the next few years. And mind you, the use of this particular technology is getting more and more scarier. As humans, we need to take cover for the very simple reason that our privacy is going to be targeted, our data is constantly getting trained upon, and more significantly, whatever we thought was our human rights is something that the machines are not necessarily concerned with.
Indeed.
These machines are only treating us as entities who are generating data without any kind of a respect for our emotions, our sensibilities, and our respective rights as humans. So very quickly, I think legal frameworks have to jump in. And if you are planning for a risk-based legislation approach that comes up after 1 or 2 years, then forget about it, because technology is not going to give you this kind of a time frame to get started, because by the time they start implementing this law, there would have been so much of a sea change in technology that the very need will be felt for going ahead and reviewing the law. And
Right,
that's the
sir,
reason.
but this also
why-
raises the question, right, of what government leaders worldwide can learn from the EU.
I think the government leaders worldwide can definitely learn one thing, that don't put your legal policies in stone. Why? Because you are actually riding a running tiger. And when you are riding a running tiger, you will have to calibrate your balance and your strategies, keeping in mind that you cannot get off the tiger.
Right.
And if you get off the tiger is going to eat you. The same analogy applies in the context of artificial intelligence. Well, it's here to stay. If you are going to close your eyes as a nation, as a parliamentarian, a policy maker, or a political leader, then so be it. That's your particular problem, not the technology's problem. Technology is already now impacting almost every sector of human activity and endeavor. Therefore, a more prudent approach will be to look at low-hanging fruits, to come up with immediate principles that could impact for the regulation of AI. Today, there are huge issues. Number one, this particular AI is going to be used and is already being used for the purposes of breaching cyber security of computer systems and networks for the
Right.
AI crimes.
I think
have
it's key,
emerged in a
Dr.
big manner.
Duggal, that at this point we move fast as far as the regulatory framework for AI is concerned. But let's wait and watch how fast governments globally move on the AI regulatory front. Thank you so much, Dr. Duggal. Really appreciate you joining us on The World 24/7.
Thank you.
In other news, French President Emmanuel Macron is going to visit riot-hit New Caledonia as tourists are evacuated from the Pacific Territory that has suffered over a week of unrest. Now, the Pacific Territory of 270,000 people has been in turmoil since the 13th of May, when violence erupted over French plans to impose new voting rules that would actually give tens of thousands of non-Indigenous residents voting rights. New Caledonia, a small overseas French territory in the South Pacific, has been rocked by violence over the past week, forcing French President Macron to declare a state of emergency and deploy hundreds of French troops. A visit to the region is also scheduled.
Le gouvernement est donc pleinement mobilisé, comme je vous le souligne depuis le début des violences engendrées en Nouvelle-Calédonie, et je vous annonce aujourd'hui qu'il a été annoncé par le président de la République en Conseil des ministres qu'il se rendra sur place, il partira sur place dès ce soir pour y installer une mission.
The violence began last week as New Caledonia's indigenous pro-independence Kanaks protested a recent bill in the French Parliament, changing a nearly three-decade-old accord. This bill gave voting rights to French residents who have lived in the territory for at least 10 years, violating the 1998 Noumea Accord, where only residents prior to 1998 could vote in the provincial polls. Fearing that their voting share would be diluted with this move, the Kanaks took to the streets, torching cars, looting shops, blocking roads, and cutting off access to medicine and food. So far, at least 6 people have been killed in the violence in the past week, including 2 police officers, and hundreds have been injured. New Caledonia is a crucial territory for France, as it remains the world's 3rd largest producer of nickel, a critical material for making stainless steel, as well as batteries in electronic vehicles. With commercial flights shut in the region, Australia and New Zealand sent planes to evacuate roughly 3,000 tourists. For now, President Macron has said he will delay his approval of the bill, inviting representatives of New Caledonia to discuss a settlement. With Disha Bagchi, Parmeshwar Bava for NDTV. The other crucial story we're tracking, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar will fly to Iran to attend an official ceremony to pay condolences on the death of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi and Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian in a helicopter crash. Meanwhile, President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Modi have conveyed their condolences on the demise of Ibrahim Raisi. Also, our External Affairs Minister visited the Embassy of Iran on Tuesday to convey India's condolences on the loss. Ghazali is tracking the latest developments for us. He joins us live at the moment. Ghazali, so the Vice President will be representing India at Ibrahim Raisi's condolence ceremony in Iran?
Yes, the Vice President, Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar, will be flying to Iran as the funeral ceremony and will attend it in the national capital of Tehran. And in the Tehran University, the funeral prayers will be led by the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini. And yesterday, the national flag flew half-mast in the national capital because India had also observed 1 day of mourning for the death of the President Ibrahim Raisi as well as the Foreign Minister of Iran in that helicopter crash. Even as you mentioned, Foreign Minister Mr. S. Jaishankar also attended a condolence meeting at the Iranian embassy in New Delhi and also said that how India and Iran had deepened ties and it was a very sad occasion as the two top leaders of the country in Iran died in that helicopter crash. So Vice President will be flying today and will be attending the funeral ceremony in Tehran.
As always, Ghazali, thanks so much for joining us with the latest. Meanwhile, 4 suspected ISIS terrorists have been arrested from the Ahmedabad airport days after the airport actually received a bomb threat. But the terrorists are believed to be citizens of Sri Lanka, and the Gujarat Anti-Terrorism Squad made these arrests when they were allegedly waiting at the airport for their handler. The handler was supposed to give them the task, as per the information shared via our sources, but the police have also recovered encrypted chats from their phones. According to the sources, agents in Pakistan had promised them some weapons that they were likely to use in an attack, but the suspected terrorists were caught before that.
जो आरोपियों के पास से हमने 2 फ़ोन रिकवर किए, इन फ़ोन का फोरेंसिक एनालिसिस किया जा रहा है, इसका डेटा एक्सट्रैक्ट किया जा रहा है और उसके आधार पे इन लोगों के आगे के प्लान या कोई डिलीटेड डेटा है उसके बारे में हम इन्वेस्टिगेशन करेंगे। साथ ही साथ तो ये मेल आईडी और एप्लीकेशंस जो थी सिग्नल जिससे कांटेक्ट में थे अपने हैंडलर के, उसको भी रिजोल्व करवाने की कोशिश की जा रही है ताकि हमें उनके हैंडलर का एग्जैक्ट लोकेशन और डिटेल्स पता चल पाए। इसके साथ ही साथ जिस पॉइंट पे ये वेपन की रिकवरी हुई है उस जगह के डंप डेटा का एनालिसिस किया जा रहा है ताकि ये वेपन रखने वाले की मतलब हम उसको चेक कर पाएँ। इसमें सभी सेंट्रल की इन्वेस्टिगेशन और इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसी जब इंट्रोगेशन में साथ में जुड़ी है, इसके साथ में दूसरे स्टेट्स की भी पुलिस इंट्रोगेशन में आई है।
As always, news and updates continue on NDTV. We're stepping into a very quick break for now.
In our country, we choose our leaders, we decide who is going to be ruling the country, and it is something which is both a fantastic right, privilege, and we should also see it as our constitutional duty. So this election, I am going to be there, and I hope you all will join me in casting your vote too.
Data drives our understanding of any election. What does a dip in voting percentage mean? What are the big factors to watch out for this poll season? Join me, Amitav Tiwari, in a data deep dive only on NDTV, where we decode and simplify the data for you.
Biggest carnival of democracy, India's general election.
Prime Minister Modi makes a formidable bid for a hat-trick.
The opposition is trying to mount a united challenge.
And the southern parties are standing their ground.
As battle lines are drawn,
Join us on an exciting journey on the road to 2024.
Indian elections, a festival like no other.
And NDTV covers elections like no other.
When India votes, you can count on us.
In the heat and dust of politics, perspective should not get lost. Watch me decipher hard politics through an academic lens, only on NDTV.
Welcome back. In a rare incident, a passenger has been killed and 71 others suffered injuries due to severe turbulence on a flight from London to Singapore. The plane, a Boeing 777-300ER, had 211 passengers and 18 crew members on board, and the aircraft was diverted to Bangkok. But we have a latest reaction from the Singapore Airlines CEO. Listen in to what he had to say regarding this unfortunate incident.
Yesterday, approximately 10 hours after departure, Singapore Airlines flight SQ321, operating from London Heathrow to Singapore, encountered sudden extreme turbulence over the Irrawaddy Basin at an altitude of 37,000 feet. The flight had 211 passengers and 18 crew members. The pilot declared a medical emergency and diverted the Boeing 777-300ER aircraft to Bangkok, landing at 3:45 p.m. local time. We are deeply saddened by this incident. It has resulted in one confirmed fatality and multiple injuries.
And finally, although we still don't know who he is, we know where to find him. The new Banksy Museum in New York City presents what it claims is the world's largest collection of the globally famous yet anonymous artists' life-sized murals and other artwork, or at least magnificent reproductions of them. This museum opened its doors in Soho and features depictions of more than 160 pieces created by the secretive street artist, many of which have long since been whitewashed or dismantled. Well, thank you for investing your time in watching this edition of The World 24/7. We'll keep tracking the latest for you. Do stay tuned.
Co-present.
The 18th Lok Sabha elections. As always, NDTV has its ear to the ground.
With the biggest pie of 80 seats, all eyes will be on Uttar Pradesh.
Will the Troika ensure the Modi umbrella unites all?
It is the first election in Naya Kashmir since the scrapping of Article 370.
Will the same number of lotuses bloom